really worked out, because this almost turned really ugly for the WNBA, man. You talking about Nafisa Collier being on a revenge tour. That was definitely going to be a revenge tour worth watching, man, because they were going to mop the league.
Welcome fans and followers to another in-depth edition from our Sport Pulse. Today, we're unwrapping one of the most astonishing free agency stories in recent memory, a story that has sent shockwaves through every corner of the league. It all centers around one of the WNBA's most decorated and experienced veterans, DeWanna Bonner, whose decision has not only upended preseason expectations, but also redefined how teams and players view the future of women's basketball. For months, the rumor mill had been abuzz with speculation about Bonner's next destination. While the Minnesota Lynx and the Phoenix Mercury both put forward lucrative proposals, it seemed that every insider assumed she would choose a route steeped in tradition and established championship pedigree.
This is now known around the league. And it's telling if DeWanna Bonner says she chose the Fever over the Lynx and Mercury to win now.
Minnesota, in particular, appeared to have everything wrapped up. A storied history, a veteran coach with a championship resume, and a roster loaded with talent, ostensibly the perfect landing spot for a player looking to cap off a brilliant career with one last title run. Yet as the dust settled on free agency day, the narrative took an unforeseen turn. Bonner shockingly declared that she would be donning the Indiana Fever jersey, aligning herself with a team that, until now, had been regarded by many as an underdog. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, however. Rather, it was the culmination of a careful, calculated strategy that had been months in the making.
Choose the Fever over them is saying something. And I think all of those players choosing the Fever said all you needed.
Around the league, whispers of this potential move had grown louder with each passing week. Sources close to Bonner revealed that she had been dropping hints, subtle clues embedded in interviews and offhand comments that suggested she was looking for more than just a team with a winning tradition. Instead, she was searching for an organization that shared her hunger for immediate impact, a team poised to evolve and dominate in the near future. Those who followed Bonner's career knew that her competitive spirit was matched only by her desire to leave a lasting legacy. In previous conversations, she had talked candidly about her ambitions, not merely to finish her career with a championship ring, but to be a part of building something transformative, something that could reshape the very dynamics of the league. Yet many in Minnesota seemed to have overlooked these signals. The Lynx, confident in their heritage and seemingly assured of her commitment, appeared blindsided by the revelation that Bonner's sights were set elsewhere.
5 of last season's regular starters left during this offseason free agency. They're talking about the Connecticut Sun here, including 3 who had spent their entire careers, a collective 23 seasons with the organization.
The Lynx's front office, led by a well-known strategist in Cheryl Reeve, had been working on what many believed was a master plan. In their view, signing Bonner would serve as the cornerstone for a rejuvenated era, one in which the franchise could reclaim its long-held status as a championship contender. Reeve was reportedly so convinced of her imminent commitment that preparations were already underway. Press conferences were scheduled, jersey numbers were being assigned in her honor, and visions of celebratory parades in downtown Minneapolis danced in the minds of the organization's executives. But as the saying goes, even the best-laid plans can go awry. In a twist that could only be described as a masterstroke of free agency maneuvering, Indiana Fever executives were quietly working behind the scenes. While Minnesota was busy parading its intentions in front of the public, Indiana's camp was methodically building relationships, sowing trust, and waiting for the precise moment to make their move. Their strategy wasn't flashy. It was patient and precise, almost surgical in its execution. When the announcement finally broke, it was as if Indiana had swooped in like a stealthy operator, snatching Bonner away in what many described as a thief-in-the-night maneuver.
Organization. One of those players, Alyssa Thomas, sought a move to a championship contender, Phoenix, with superior facilities.
And if you want...
For Minnesota, it wasn't merely a missed opportunity, it was the loss of what had been viewed as the centerpiece of their entire offseason plan. The fallout was immediate and bitter. Reeve, known for her meticulous planning and high expectations, was visibly incensed. How could a player, whose every word had hinted at her desire for immediate success, choose to forgo a seemingly perfect situation in Minnesota in favor of a team many had written off? The brilliance of the Fever's strategy lay in their calm and calculated approach. Indiana's front office was not content to engage in the public spectacle that had become synonymous with big-market free agency battles. Instead, they opted for a quiet, relationship-driven strategy that underscored their long-term vision. In sharp contrast to the overt confidence and public posturing of Minnesota, Indiana was discreetly laying the groundwork for a future that they believed was ripe for the taking.
Going to the Lynx, man. Can you imagine Alyssa Thomas going to the Lynx, allowing Nafisa Collier to play the 4, and then you even have Bonner there as well? Like, dog, that is, woo.
Bonner had always been a player known for her steely resolve and her focus on winning. In previous interviews, she had casually dismissed the significance of certain moves, including the Mercury's acquisition of Thomas. Many had interpreted this as indifference or even satisfaction with the status quo. Instead, what was unfolding behind the scenes was a meticulously orchestrated decision that prioritized immediate championship contention over sentimental affiliations or established legacies. Minnesota's approach, which even included flirtations with the idea of trading for Thomas to sweeten the deal, can only be described as desperate. Imagine, if you will, the lengths a team might go to in order to secure a veteran superstar, offering what could be seen as the basketball equivalent of buying someone a house before the first anniversary. Such moves are high risk, often bordering on the reckless, and they underscore just how confident Minnesota was in their perceived inevitability.
Can't even imagine Fee at the 3, and then you have Bonner and Alyssa at the 4 and the 5. Oh my goodness, bro. You could tell the Lynx.
Yet in a classic case of playing checkers when your opponent is playing chess, the Lynx misread the signals and paid the price. For Indiana, the smart money was on patience. Their front office understood that while public statements and flashy gestures might win a few headlines, they rarely translated into long-term success. Instead, they concentrated on building a culture of mutual respect and shared ambition, a culture that resonated deeply with a player like Bonner, who had long dreamed of being a part of something innovative and transformative. If you were paying close attention over the past few months, you might have noticed that Bonner wasn't as coy about her ambitions as some might have believed. There were clear signals, almost like breadcrumbs, scattered in her interviews, and off-court remarks that hinted at a deeper strategy. She frequently alluded to the concept of winning now, a phrase that in her lexicon wasn't just about immediate triumphs, but about carving out a legacy that would stand the test of time. Her commentary on past events, such as the subtle reaction to Phoenix's trade moves or the nuanced discussions during press interviews, painted the picture of a player who was not only deeply knowledgeable about the game, but also acutely aware of the shifting dynamics within the league. Bonner's hints weren't just casual musings, they were strategic indicators of a player who had been playing a long game. While Minnesota's management might have dismissed these as mere bravado or posturing, the Fever saw them for what they were, signals that pointed to a larger vision. For Bonner, the move was never about simply joining a contender with an established reputation. Instead, it was about aligning herself with a project that promised both immediate returns and a significant future impact. In her mind, the Indiana Fever wasn't just a team. It was a canvas on which she could paint her ultimate legacy, a team where her leadership and experience could be the catalyst for a dramatic turnaround. This kind of strategic vision is rare, especially in an environment where established super teams have long dictated the narrative. Bonner's decision serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes the most compelling moves come from those who are willing to think outside the conventional playbook.
Knew that the Indiana Fever were piping up as far as grabbing some of the best players to make that organization run like a well-oiled machine, man.
It wasn't just a free agency decision. It was a philosophical statement about the evolution of the sport and the roles that veteran leaders play in shaping its future. The immediate fallout from Bonner's decision was nothing short of dramatic. In Minnesota, the mood was one of disbelief and mounting frustration. Executives and longtime fans alike were left reeling, trying to piece together how a player they had counted on as the linchpin of their championship ambitions could have seemingly turned her back at the last minute. Reeve, whose entire offseason blueprint had hinged on Bonner's imminent arrival, was reportedly livid, an emotion that reverberated through every press conference and interview in the days that followed. Social media lit up with debates, hot takes, and heated exchanges as fans and analysts attempted to reconcile the decision with the narratives that had been built up over the past few months. Many argued that Minnesota had simply taken Bonner for granted, failing to appreciate the nuances of her long-term ambitions. Some critics went so far as to claim that the Lynx had been seduced by their own legacy, assuming that past glories were enough to secure the loyalty of one of the league's brightest stars.